cost of keeping an oil rig, drilling rig running is approximately $1 million a day. So if you can't source a piece of equipment quickly enough and to the right specification, you run the risk of having to stop production.
It's very sensitive and it can be urgent because people need to travel, people need to get to the places, people need to get their information out as quickly as possible. A lot of the people are volunteers, so they don't use their own funds, so you need to get advances to them and you need to get them out to the places when and where it's needed.
But then when you look at the changing markets in the US and then especially across in Asia and in China, a booming economy that also presents challenges in different types of food, we need to try and adapt very, very quickly to that. So that is a challenge always.
So they understand accounting principles as opposed to being techie geeks.
I mean, I've had needs on a number of occasions. I needed someone in like yesterday, and I've made a call to the account manager and Mayha in the project office, and you get a very attentive response, and they'll work the diaries around the consultants to try and get someone on site wherever it's possible, and we appreciate that.
The way that we were implementing systems down in the Falkland Islands 25 years ago is not the way that we're implementing systems in Russia or Gabon today. But the core skills of listening, of reacting, of moulding ourselves to the technology and the requirements of the time are as paramount today as they were then.
Touchstone is, I would say, it's very much my first port of call because they understand our business now. I've worked with the same account manager for many, many years, and that is very valuable to me. He understands our business. He understands me as the client.
Well, 30 years ago it started in a basement garret in Islington, North London. Today it's 6 offices, one of which in Sydney. That was opened 3 years ago. So we're dynamically grown to 130 people from a 2-man business.
We have in the business around about 40 consultants across both the service delivery side, i.e. out at client sites, and also on the help desk. I mean, between them they have about 600 man-years worth of experience of working with Sun Systems.
We've got a small focused team of people who I work with to deliver focused solutions for the energy sector, specifically oil and gas and renewable energies.
They are people who do understand intelligent reporting and what can be obtained from financial data. In recent months we've actually been able to prove to customers in 2 key contracts what value for money GRN is actually providing to them through the data that the system is providing.
I am particularly excited about the new innovation that has been unveiled by Infor. Certainly around their workflow technologies, their integration with SharePoint, their web part functionality, their integration tools. Infor are putting their money where their mouth is.
They also had case studies of other charities, etc. that had come across the same situations that we had, which was really helpful.
We engaged with Touchstone, said this isn't working, this is working, what do you suggest? And they come up with 3 or 4 ideas. I want to know what it can be doing further down the line. We're always trying to push it that little bit further.
More and more they're demanding that the way that they communicate socially, in their personal lives, they're expecting solutions in the business environment to reflect that.
Because there is a very fine line between being on the leading edge and the bleeding edge. So it's important that we know where that line is and are able to steer our customers in the right direction.
If we have a requirement from our French auditors to say, right, we need you to go through and change the way that this is presented, we can't sit back and say, right, we need to go through and generate new reports from scratch. We need to be able to do that on the fly Touchstone have been able to listen to that and say, well, you know what, this would be a better solution rather than trying to use what you have now.
So you've got to be able to deliver projects in areas which are not perhaps the preferred holiday destinations of most of our consultants.
West Africa, Russia. I've spent quite a lot of time in Syria before the Arab Spring took hold.
So if you're an individual who's using our software, you'll want to know how your work's going to change. What's in it for me? Everyone's favourite radio station is WIIFM. What's in it for me?
It's the only way you can get the sharp end adoption is to make sure that people have a tool appropriate to their needs, isn't overly complicated, but it has to still have all the driver for behavioural patterns and the reasons with which the corporate wants them to use this tool behind it.
The Touchstone of today is an ideas factory. It is the fusion of the thoughts and talents of those around. It is not an autocracy. I will tease out ideas from the management team. They will insist on their ideas being applied. I think that's very healthy. That is rocket fuel for the future for me.